is the DEX network. And on this webinar tonight, we're going to be talking about the DEX 5-minute MDM system. And if you're unsure what that is, sit back and hold on. You're going to find out. I'm joined with my partner in crime, if you can say that, Mike Ficca. How you doing, Mike?
Great to be here tonight, Max. And if I can take 2 seconds of your time, I can congratulate Chris Gagne for making Elite Trader. Chris is more conservative than anybody I've ever met, and he's a great contributor in the room as well. So congratulations to Chris.
Congratulations, Chris. If you're brand new here in this network or to this webinar or to this company, you're going to hear things that normal companies don't sound like, okay? You've probably never really been to too many webinars that will ever sound like this, and especially with what's about to happen tonight. We hold no excuses for the way that we build the company. We work very hard at what we do. Everybody here that contributes, everyone that you see in the chat room that has senior or elite by their name, even Chris G that just made elite, have all worked very hard to get where they're going. And it's not without strife. It's not without complication. It's not without misgiving. But one thing I have found is that the people here that really want to make something happen, they just put their nose to the grindstone and make it happen. Hence why Mike made partner in 4 months, why Paul Davey is a partner, why I have some of the best customer service people in the world that are my best friends and partners in this company and that run this network. And if it wasn't for all the people behind the scenes, now, you know, I'm always in the front, so I'm very lucky. Mike's becoming into the front, so he's very lucky that we have everybody here that supports us. And what we're about to show you tonight is the first time we're going to show it to you in this fashion. And what's about to release is a very unique but very scary system. And I have to preface it in this fashion because I don't want everybody to think that this is going to be rosy, you know puppy dogs and unicorns kind of stuff, right? That this network, that what we're building is a very powerful network, but we have to have some responsibility here too for what's about to unfold. So let's just dive right in. If some of you know me and have been around some of the videos we have done, you know what the 5-minute trades networks are on anything DEX. Some of you know how I feel about the 5-minute trades, and mostly are all about training, right? The faster that you can get into a trade, to get in and out, the more training you can do, the faster you can learn. And that's what it really comes down to for me and for anybody. Mike Ficca, who's been doing training now for about, what, 4 or 5 months now, Mike?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you weren't doing 5-minute trades, you were doing 1-hour trades, how long would that same training taken you?
Oh, good Lord. Probably an extra 3 or 4 weeks, at least.
Okay. So a lot of extra training in there. I probably almost assume that it would be several months because you've done over 600 or 700 actual demo trades, and you were doing a lot of them on the 5-minute side of it. And then you started training in 1 hour, and then, of course, some of the other trades we were doing. So I can kind of see that there is a very unique way to learn how to do the trades. But why I don't really prefer the 5-minute trade package to trade live is because it can teach you some really good habits, but it can also give you bad habits quickly. So it can teach you fast, but can also ruin you fast. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yes, I agree. So far, it hasn't ruined me.
No, it shouldn't, especially in the mentality you've built up. Why does a 5-minute system fail? And this is where a lot of people kind of get that, I've heard it from a lot of people, tons and tons of people, even from myself, looking at hundreds and hundreds of different places that have these 5 minutes, quick 1 minute systems that are out there, these bots and all that, right? In the most part, 5-minute systems fail because it's too complicated. There's too many things happening at once that need to line up, the earth and the moon and the stars and everything needs to happen. You need to do, it's almost like guessing, right? So it brings me to number 2. It's too flip a coin, okay? There's just 250-50 in that process, 40-60 at that point, right? And then there's just the plain old, they're all full of bullshit. Let's be serious here, okay? Most fail because of the discipline that requires to do these particular types of trades isn't inside of us. It hasn't been trained inside of us because we're afraid of those things. We're afraid of that discipline because, or we get bored with it quickly. We're individuals, human beings are in that habitual side of wanting things faster and faster and faster and faster. And if we don't have the discipline, if we to follow a process, this is where the majority of us fail. There are plenty of places out there. There are plenty of 5-minute systems. And because of this, this is really hard for me to try to sit back and tell you that this is going to be perfect for everybody. And it's not. Okay. This system isn't perfect for everybody. You do have to have the disciplines. You have to have the attention to details. Because if you don't, you could actually lose a lot of money. And these systems are scammy that are out there. You've probably seen a lot of these places. Come and trade my 5-minute system, my 5-minute sharpshooter network, my whatever name it has, right? We came up with a catchy name too because it was fun for us. And I'll explain what that name means here in a little bit. So why did we create one? Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. It was by accident. Yeah, really. I mean, we already had a 5-minute strategy that we were using. We use a trend reverse process, the full 5-minute, the full circle, which is the trend reverse, and a double stow that we use in our Trader's Mind series. And we use those for training purposes, like I was telling you in the very beginning. But this is not that. We created it by accident. And what I mean by that is that just recently, we just released this process called the SR Max, Support and Resistance Max. And this was a 2-hour intraday signal that we're releasing over on indexsignals.com, which is doing very well, by the way. I was using our strategy in testing this process. I placed a bunch of parameters over a 1-hour time frame. And from that marker of a current price trading mentality, meaning ATM, we were trying to build a 1-hour time frame. Now, I'd already created the SR Max, and that was working very well. What I wanted to try to create was a current price trading model for a 1-hour trade, because not only could this alleviate a lot of risk on Nadex, but it could also be used later on for Forex process. So you can see my wants and wills to be able to create something to that effect was very powerful. So I began to pull together a tremendous amount of data and apply these variables and parameters to that data to try to isolate some major variables that we could get an at the money price on Nadex. Things that meant that when the signal hit, that price was, or that pair was going to go in that direction for that short period of time so we could capitalize on as much money as possible from that process. Now, this was totally by accident that I discovered this 1-hour time frame with that ATM. And so what did I do? Well, we have a couple of phases that when we test this stuff out, we, of course, as soon as we find a strategy or a process, right, we go at it. We back test it to its dead. You know, we just keep back testing until we find, you know, how far back can I go before it becomes back to the mean? And I can talk forever about getting back to the mean and doing testing and all that stuff. But what it really came down to is that once we exhausted back testing and found the perfect variables, we then started to apply it to current price trading, which means that I hand it to somebody like Mike and I say, all right, go trade this. Not in my eyes of me trading it, but somebody secondarily to me. Because no matter how much I want to devise a program for many other people, I can't devise it for me only. So if I can trade it because I have technical background and trading background on trading, I don't want to design it for me. I'm designing it for the average person who doesn't have that. And I had to give that to Mike to say, here, Mike, follow these 3 or 4 rules and see if you can trade with this. And so after we designed this 1-hour system, something happened. How did we get to this 5-minute? Well, you can also blame Mike Ficca, okay? Because, and he didn't know I was going to do this, right? You can blame Mike Ficca because this guy, instead of, you know, because, okay, so here's what happened, right? So once I had that crazy data and I gave him the 1-hour system, I asked Mike to trade it. And in using the parameters, in testing with it, he was doing it. He was testing it. He was testing the 1-hour process and the SR Mac. He was testing a few things for me. And he did until one morning, And I remember because it was very, it was a very unusual morning. He goes, there's a lot of news coming out, and I want to test a few other things. I want to do a few things. I'm just going to mess around. And I was like, all right, whatever. So he thought, and this is what he told me later, why not trade the 5-minute trades while I wait, right? And so instead of changing the things and going to the other system, the full minute circle and all the other stuff that he was doing, he decided to keep the parameters up that I was teaching him and started to trade it in this smaller time frame. And literally, the DEX 5-minute MDM was born. So Mike Ficca, a trusted trader who made partner, was just bored and tested this experimental trading strategy and indicator. Thank God, because you would have think that I put in 50 million hours into this company, into this business, worked very hard, and the one thing that is going to be probably bigger than anything else we've ever built was discovered by accident. Go figure. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. At first, he was a little bit embarrassed to tell me, because I know, I could show you the message. Hey, Max, goddamn, you gotta go and check this out. And I was like, no, I'm busy right at the moment. What is it? And he goes, you just got to go check this thing out. And I went and I looked, and I was like, this is crazy. Wait a minute, why is this working this way? And I started to look at it, and as soon as he showed me what was happening, I immediately knew why it was working. Because it did. And I know that seems really vague, right? But really, this was 750,000 lines of data and signals and trades and everything that we had compiled into this movement. And when the market moves over a certain period of time, with all the variables that we're using, all the way from the daily to the intraday to the SR max, and now even into this, it was working because we were able to find the way the market was moving and responding to itself. Because remember, the market's driven by humans, for humans kind of process, right? And it works because we make it work. Because we found the rules that make it work. We found the instances that when certain things line up, it does one particular thing, and it does so at such a high rate of success that we knew that it was something very special for us. And it's higher than anything. In most cases, a 5-minute trade system will yield between 80 and 90% if you're good, if you're decent, right? And I say this in my previous webinars, if you're a superstar, you can hit 90, 95%. This thing does that out of the box. So now if you're doing 80% with this system, you're really mucking it up, right? You can't even just follow a simple arrow. There's a problem. Okay, so we're going to be very honest here, right? This system that we're building and going to be putting in front of you is very, very, very simple. But it takes, the program's simple, but it takes a tremendous amount of persistence and discipline to be able to learn it and to get your mentality right to have it. Okay, remember, this isn't for everybody. So if once we get to the end of this and we say, okay, it's ready to go, and we got some early sign up stuff happening tonight. Once we say it's ready and we're hitting it, if we see that it's not for you later, don't worry, we're going to help you. We're going to design something, some safeguards in here to protect you from this process. We don't want you losing money, okay? And that's what we're going to discuss here. This system is dangerous. And Mike, maybe you can tell them why it's so dangerous.
Well, basically, you're, at least the way I trade, I put my head down and I go. But it only takes 1 or 2 or 3 losses in a row for your whole mindset to go crazy, and you're losing, you're losing and losing, and then you got to stay focused. So the dangerous part of it is it's easy to make the money. It's very easy. So the greed monster will come out, and that's the dangerous part. That is the most critical part.
Yeah. Well, first off, Mike is absolutely right. You need to have the attention of a sniper almost to be able to grab this and gravitate to a process that you're doing A, B, C, and D. And
oh my God.
To get this,
sorry.
That's okay, to get this thing done. Now, the second part is that if you lose that focus, right, and she's right down in the room there too, money management, if you lose that focus, you could lose the trade. But if you lose your mentality along the way, if your trader's mind goes into OG mode, overly greedy mode, you could actually hurt yourself even more. If you don't use a incremental crawl to build up your CVG, your consistency plus volume equals goal, okay, then the problem is that you start just throwing money at these trades. And when one does finally lose, you're losing the wrong one. You're losing the one that has all these trades on it now, and you just wiped out everything you just did. And then you go into chasing this shit. Trust me, chasing that dragon is the worst thing in the world when you're trading.
Yep.
And it becomes a mentality. You could get messed up winning, and you could get messed up losing. And when you're done it at 5-minute trades, let me tell you right now, it happens quicker than snot. 1 second you're on top of the world, the next you're like, holy crap, what happened there? So we put some training safeguards on board to teach you how to spot these things fast. And when you do, there's rules: 2 and out, 3 and out. Okay, if you have a loss, there's no scalping system with this. Okay, there's no, oh my God, how do I know if the trade's going to go bad? There isn't. You are just working the numbers, and that's what it comes down to. All right. Now, before we get into the next part, you have to see this. You have to know that this earnings and risk disclaimer is one of the most crucial parts that you must understand, that you are solely responsible for your success on the good and the bad, the failure and the success part. I'm only giving you a tool, teaching you how to use it, giving you some trade assistance only. But all the results may vary depending on who you are and what you are, your timing, your precision, all of it. Okay. So as long as you're aware of that, the lawyers are happy. Whew. Okay. I'm going to show you something. We're going to take a second here. We're going to have a look at it. But I don't want you to go all kind of, crazy, let me in kind of thing, right? Because this process, I'm telling you, because when I've alluded to this in the past, over the past couple of days, I mean, we have close to 40 people now wanting into the process. We're only going to release 100 positions of this for a reason. We don't want to hurt the market. We don't want to hurt Nadex. We don't want to be throwing 300 or 400 people at this thing. And I only want to give at first, well, I'll give anybody a shot coming to it, but you're going to hear here in just a minute, what is going to be required of you. Okay. Because this isn't going to be just, zero experience. Hey, I wonder, how do I trade on Nadex? You're going to have to do some pre-training first to be ready for this. And before you go before you go jumping into this process, I'm going to make sure that you are ready, because if you're not, then it'd be negligent of me to actually give this opportunity to anybody that's not ready for it. Okay. I'm going to show you first, because there's a position of training. Mike trained on 5-minute trades prior to, and I could show you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trades that he's done. But I want to show you some of this. Did I change that over? I did, right? Okay. I want to show you this because this is Mike's MDM trade. This is where we started to come in. And I know it says live up here, but it's his whole sheet. This was his live sheet, and we just incorporated it in this process because it does have some live trades on it. In this particular one, on this particular sheet, it does not have live trades on it. These are all demo trades, and they're pushing. And you see there's a loss. You're fired. And it keeps going and going and going. Yeah, it's all great.
Pre-web stuff. Right here is where I called Max on the phone, and I said, you have to check out my Nadex history, because I wanted him to see the transparency that I have, to see 35 trades, 35 and 0 in Nadex with no losses, so he can see that I'm not changing it. I want him to see. I wanted him to see it, and he's like, I trust it. I was like, no.
It was at this point that he called, and first he demanded that we do a join.me, and we did that, and he's like, you got to see my history, and he went into the history, and I was looking, and at first I thought they were hour trades. I'm like, this is banging, and then he's like, these are 5-minute trades, and it's only taking an hour and a half to do these. And at first I was like, son of a bitch. What about all that data for 1 hour? This is where my mind went, right? I'm like, what about all that data? And then he's like, these are 5 minutes. And then it hit me, because Mike's an unusual character, right? You're like, can you do as Mike does kind of stuff? And not everybody can, but you can learn it, and you can get to that point. And we're going to show you how to do that. But when Mike called me at this point, this is where we decided that this is something big. And as we put it away for the night, which he did, and he kept on going, he came back the next morning and did his thing, right? He did his Mike thing. He just kept on going, right? And so he had some mistakes, right? Remember, you lose focus, and what happens, Mr. USDJPY trading with 3 bulls? I remember that trade perfectly.
During the Super Bowl.
It was during Super Bowl. So, and then this happened. So this is the 5th and the 6th, or just the 6th, or some of the 5th of the night. And of course, 98-2. This has happened. I want you to see this. Today is the 6th. It started on what? The 1st? Yeah. So
And
5 days, not even full 5 days, because there's only really around 3 days worth of trading in there. And that's what happened. Okay. And then we jumped over to, I told him this morning, I want you to focus on going live, right? Mentality of trading live is a little bit different for anybody starting out. And I said, I need you to get those 100 trades into your live account and start going to that point. And that's what he did. Of course, he had a couple boo-boos. He always does this. Almost every time we've switched over to live, there's always like 1 or 2, 3 trades, and then boom, boom, a double hit. I could show you a couple of them, right? But that's all right, because look, he's recovered. We're in the positive. Everything's looking good. We're moving forward. But this is where mentality hits you, right? If you make a boo-boo, something happens, you get to learn how to quickly recover. And that's the other thing. You need to learn from people that know how to recover from. This isn't catastrophe. You got to realize he's trading 2 contracts. His live account can actually hold up to like 10 contracts at a time. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to incrementally crawl and get to that point where he's going to be trading 5 to 10 contracts. And this number is going to, I mean, you cannot judge a process by 1 day's worth of trading. This is 1 day worth of trading. All right. So keep that in mind. And it's not even a full day's worth of trading.
I did go into the 4 o'clock hour. I'm sorry.
I know. I was
Just
holding
by a
on to
couple minutes.
Okay. So we're doing something different here. Our City Investments, LLC, and Dex Indicators are going to release those 5-minute programs indicator, okay, on Dex Indicators. And I know this sounds really, really gimmicky, okay, but we had to do it in this fashion because we're trying to move this thing slowly. If we notice that we don't have a hit on Nadex, after I talk to Dan Cook next week, we find that it didn't even make a dent, we're going to release another 100 and another 100 until we can get to a point that we feel very comfortable with this process. Now, I have to warn you, I don't want customers here. If you're unsure what that means, it means simply I'm looking for partners. I'm not looking for customers. I'm looking for investors, people who will invest their time and energy into learning what we have to teach you in this process. Okay? You're going to be purchasing a monthly recurring system with us. And this system that you're going to be purchasing, we'll be working together to mature. And in order for us to mature this even to a further level, you have to make sure you're profitable. Do I want to charge you $297 for a product if it doesn't work? I want you to be able to pay for that product. I want you to be able to pay for not only that product, but be able to buy into investment packages and things that we're going to be doing with other programs that we have. Remember, we're an investment firm. We're a marketing firm. We're a software builder. We're an entertainment industry, right? You didn't know all this stuff? Well, you do now. So the process here is to buy into the program, into what we're building, into not just the 5-minute trades, but learning that process. And during this, there's a safeguard. Now, and I'll tell you more about the safeguards inside, but the safeguard that we're going to have here is knowing that a company's transparent and honest and upfront with you. And if we feel like you're not cutting it, if we're looking at your journals and we can't get you into, because remember, you're not going to be trading live, right? You'll be trading demo for your first 100, 200 trades, depending on how well you do that first 100 trades. and you'll be sitting in on webinars and classes and having bookings with senior consults like with Mike and myself and a handful of other people we're raising up. We'll be raising up traders inside that are senior levels and senior twos and bringing them in board so they can teach you even more. And if you got to get declassified and put you into another part of it, at least you've earned that star, that badge that you're here, and we can get you into the proper trading platform from that point. But 5 minutes work for you. If this is, you have to have that mentality. Like, I love these. If you're weak-hearted, if you're unsure, if you're, you need the slower pace, because listen, Mike, I love you, man, but I'm not going to be trading 5 minutes.
I know.
Okay.
That's why I was very embarrassed to come to you the first time.
I'm not going to be trading 5 minutes. And could you tell people why I don't trade 5 minutes?
You don't believe in them. I mean, not that you don't believe in them. You think they're for training purposes only.
No. Actually, I mean, I do believe in the live process. I believe in what we're doing here, but I have so much that's happening. It's not that I just have like a second job. If I focus nothing on but 5 minute signals, I can train with them. I can show you how to do them. I can build you with them. I can build your mentality behind the trading of it, and I can work with you on that. If that's all I did, if all I did was just train and work on them, I can do them all day long. But because I have to train them, build the website, build the other programs, work the SR Max, do that stuff, I need to be, Jonathan says that I prefer to do the working order. That's what I need to focus on. So even though I'm going to be there for you, even though I'm going to be showing you, and I know, listen, one of the highest rates we have with the company so far is my 98.7. So if Mike can beat that, all you got to do is 99. All you got to do is just one more less loss than you do in there, and you'll hold the title. But until then, I still hold it 98.7. Okay, so the process here for all of you is to get in and begin the solution of learning. Right now, if I release this to the world and I just put it out there and just said, everybody just come in and let's see who it'll work on throwing the spaghetti on the wall. Right, Mike can do 99. If I just threw the spaghetti wall and see who's stuck, that would be negligent of us, right? Because some of you would lose and get hurt. Imagine if we oversold this. We put 1,000 people in this thing.
Oh,
right. It would be seriously. We talk. You want to talk about liquidity? I don't know what it would look like if 1,000 people went to Nadex and grabbed one contract on a 5 minute trade of the Euro USD, and there's only 50 contracts there, and the market makers are going, where did these 1,000 people come from? I don't know what that would look like. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We have an early sign up page that I'm going to put into the room here in just a minute. And this is not about being gimmicky. Everything is not ready yet. All right. So if you need to, and again, it's not about the money for us, but I do need to stress, I have 40 people on a list that I have to give it to. I have to put it into their hands. These are members of the company. If you're already a member of the company and you haven't pre-said, hey, I'm in, or what have you, or I've already earmarked 40 for this. So there's really only going to be about 60 something openings in this thing. So you're going to sign up. When we say vet, I mean that, we're going to make sure that you can follow the rule, go to training. I'm going to give you some homework to do, some things to go set up. If you're going to pay in early to get your spot, Dr. B, you're already on that list. I know he's like, I got to be in. Okay, because he's going to love these things. You're going to pay your first month of 97. Now, if you're already a member of DEX Signals or DEX Indicators, you're only going to pay 97. Yes, this is above and beyond that process. You're only going to pay 97 a month extra for this process for being a DEX Indicator. And I have to do that. I cannot just make an all-inclusive price. Cannot. There's too much work that goes in this for me, myself, but me and Mike and Amy and Brian for this particular part, because we weren't originally going to get into this. We weren't going to get into 5 minute trading if this process wasn't so good. We had to sort of push this open. So it has to be able to pay for itself. Okay. It has to be independent. Okay. Any good business would. If you can't afford it, I can completely understand. I'm sorry, but there's nothing else I can do. The first month is going to be $97. Okay. Now, if you get into a jam, and we're still learning the process, we're still trying to figure out stuff. Don't worry, we can work some stuff out. with the way the charges are. We can pause things. There's certain things that we can do at these levels, and we'll talk about that if you get into that jam. But we want to get you to a positive rate of learning this process, because the overall price is $297. And the reason why we have this way is because every cent that's going into this right now, okay, is going to build this 5-minute program bigger and bigger and bigger, and isolate some other variables in that process, but also pay for some people to come on in from the company itself, from the senior traders and senior 2 traders, to handle and pay them for some of their work to be done here, right? As well as customer service. So you're basically investing into the process. Now, you'll keep this number, $297, coming out of your wallet every month. If you are not doing good in the program, we're going to see it. We don't want to charge you this unless you're making more than this in trading. If you're not making more than this in trading, then we have a problem. I don't want you to ever have to pay this unless you're making this in your monthly or more. Remember that. I don't want to charge you this money. I want this money to be you paying for a tool that gets you 10 times this amount, 100 times this amount. So you have to communicate with us that, hey, I need to either, hey, I got to figure out what the heck is going on. Please help me, because you can't be left in the background. That's why it's so much, because people need to be standing with you to make this thing work. Okay. And if this gets to that point, once you've gotten to a point that you're in a positive ROI every month, things are working, we're going to vet you in as an investor. Okay, of somebody, if you want to get to that next level, if you want to be that, hey, I want to be part of this investor package, then there's going to be certain things that we're going to do. So once we vet you for that process, the system will become free to you. So you have some place to go to. You're trying to get to that point that you become so proficient at doing these, like Mike and a handful of other people are, that we make you an investor of the company. And this is where it gets fun. This package here of learning, of becoming an investor with the company, really does come back around to individuals that get to that level have an opportunity, because we're building all these other things, right? We have Our City Go-Go, we have a marketing system, we have a whole bunch of things that are happening. So we have all these investments that, each one has its own sticker for, right? That in order to get this one going, we need $50,000, right? Now, I'm not saying you're going to foot the bill of $50,000, trust me, but to build it out, it's going to cost about $50K, right? Or, this one here is, $25K. And then you'll have yield information. So this one will provide a 4% yield on or whatever it's going to be, okay? So there's going to be a investment sheet that'll come around to all that investor line level, right? And when you get to this level, of, that we're building out all these programs now, like Our City Go-Go and these marketing systems, they all produce people to come back to this network as well. So it makes money. So Our City Go-Go makes money as from customers and training and marketing, but it also builds other training systems as well. And that's what we do. That's what we are. We're a firm, we're a marketing firm, an investment firm. We're entertainment, we're radio, we're a lot of things. Okay. So in order to get to those levels, you need to get through the system and start training. Like I said, we're only going to allow about 100 people in this program. And we're asking that if you're going to do it, you must agree to stay and follow the rules. And anyone that leaves from this point, and this is may sound like a jerk move, but anybody that leaves from this point, I can't have flip-flopping back and forth, right? We're here for people, for the longevity of our company, the sincerity of who we are. We really want to make it happen for you, and we want you to make it happen for us. And as you're building, okay, as you're in here, once you join this process, you're no longer, just like we say, you're no longer a customer, you're really an investor. But you're not just an investor at this point, right? Because you're helping us build something even bigger than we are right now. And I can't have it that somebody comes in this beginning phase and then quits and then comes back after everybody's paid all their dues and all their things and pays us, just a couple extra bucks in a one-time fee. I can't have that. Okay. I can't have all the other people paying for the advancement of the system later on so you could take advantage of it. right? If you're getting in right now, you're getting in because you trust us, you trust the company, you trust myself, you trust Mike, you trust this process, you trust yourself to be able to be here. Okay. A couple stipulations before we move on. One, please be halfway decent with software, being able to download MetaTrader, being able to unzip a zip file and put that in there. If you don't know how to do that, we do have some programs that can help. We will have very advanced training with this process. But if it finds that we're constantly online with you with software issues and trying to figure out how do I put this price onto this thing, then this may not be for you. Okay. Secondly, if you don't have the time, and I'm not saying you need to devote 50 hours a day or 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, but having at least 1 or 2 hours a night to be able to trade, to provide data is very, very, very important. Okay. Lastly, we need to make sure that this is something that you can afford. So if you can't afford it, this isn't just a Hail Mary, throw a couple bucks up into the sky and make this thing work. Prepare yourself for a couple of months of work, okay, before you get a huge ROI. If that's like the longest, I could see you getting maybe 30 days, 21 days to 30 days to a point of getting that you got it down. If you're working about an hour or two a night. Okay, if you're like Mike, you're probably going to throw everything you got at this, for the next couple of days and get to that ROI making part of it very quickly. And lastly, don't jump the gun. Don't go live. I don't want anybody going live money. Anybody going live money. I don't care how much money you have. Talk to me. Until you talk to one of us. So you talk to Mike, or you talk to myself, or another approved senior level trader too with the company. Okay? Because we really are here to make sure that you don't fail. The quickest rate to failure is premature going live. I was trying to find something cute in there, but I couldn't. I would like to say I think that's it, but we already stated that if you're a member of Dex already, you're only going to have $97 a month as long as you keep your regular Dex system, right? If you don't, if this is the only thing you want, then we got to kind of work those numbers around and find out. We got to work a deal, right? We got to work some magic, and that's where Amy Kuipers and Brian come in, getting that stuff figured out. Okay, but if you cancel your Dex member prematurely and you say no, hey, I don't want Dex, and you still have the 5-minute system, we also have to cancel this as well. All right. There's a lot of rules, and I know there's a lot of stuff that we covered. One last thing. If you come on board and you pay money to be here, you must know that there's not going to be a refund for this process. There is too many people that are involved in this network that's going to buckle down to be able to be there for you, to be able to help train you, to get you to that next phase. When we have 102 and 3 and 400 people in the system, there's going to be 20 or 30 senior level trader 2 people, and they're spending their time to be there, time that they could be spending training and trading. Okay. So I want to make sure they're compensated for those things as well. There's also a complete staff to be able to work on the programs themselves. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. At this time, if you're watching after the fact, I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to leave open a couple quick. No, in fact, I won't do any questions and answers while it's recording. If you have some questions and answers, I want you to go to Dex Indicators. You go to the little chat room down there. I'm going to put into the chat room right now. Let's see if I can also put this into. Let me see, where did it go? I do apologize. I did have all this up, but then when I rebooted it, it went bye-bye. Just give me a second. I'm going to pull it back up here. .net. Give me 1 second. There it is. Okay, so if you go to Dex Indicators, and I'm going to give you this link, and I'm also going to have, I think I'm going to have a link on I'll have a link on the home page as well, so you can be able to get to it. It'll say 5-minute MDM system. Click here, and I'll have that on there. But I'm going to put it in the chat room as well. Okay. Now there is a get in early. Now this is if you're getting in, you got to know that there's going to be a couple of days still left of stuff that we got to do. Okay, so there is I still have to finish up the last securities on the indicator. We're going to have that available. So once that's available over the next day or so, it should be ready by tomorrow afternoon. But if anything lately, it'll be by Wednesday guaranteed, right? I can really promise you on that point because there's only a handful of small things I have to do for security. So you can hit this early sign up I am ready button, right? That's on the website right now. And I'll get you that page. If you're watching this after the fact, it will be on the home page. There'll be a little button for that there for you as well. All right. For everybody that's watching this after the fact, thank you so much for taking some time in here tonight. And of course, I'll see you inside. Mike, thanks a lot for sticking around. Everybody in the room, stick around and we'll get into questions and answers with everybody here. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.